The Soviet Union, officially known as the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, was a federation of multiple republics, each with its own distinct identity and in some cases its own language. At the time of its dissolution in 1991, the Soviet Union consisted of 15 republics. Here is a list of the republics that were part of the Soviet Union. 1. Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, RSFSR. This was the largest and most influential republic and served as the de facto leader of the Soviet Union. After the Soviet Union's dissolution, the RSFSR became the Russian Federation. 2. Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic, UKRSSR. Ukraine is now an independent country. 3. Belarusian Soviet Socialist Republic, Belarusian SSR. Belarus is now an independent country. 4. Uzbek Soviet Socialist Republic, Uzbek SSR. Uzbekistan is now an independent country. 5. Kazakh Soviet Socialist Republic, Kazakh SSR. Kazakhstan is now an independent country. 6. A Georgian Soviet Socialist Republic, Georgian SSR. Georgia is now an independent country. 7. Azerbaijan Soviet Socialist Republic, Azerbaijan SSR. Azerbaijan is now an independent country. 8. Armenian Soviet Socialist Republic, Armenian SSR. Armenia is now an independent country. 9. Moldavian Soviet Socialist Republic, Moldavian SSR. Moldova is now an independent country. 10. Kyrgyz Soviet Socialist Republic, Kyrgyz SSR. Kyrgyzstan is now an independent country. 11. Tajik Soviet Socialist Republic, Tajik SSR. Tajikistan is now an independent country. 12. Turkmen Soviet Socialist Republic, Turkmen SSR. Turkmenistan is now an independent country. Ussr 13. Latvian Soviet Socialist Republic, Latvian SSR. Latvia is now an independent country. 14. Lithuanian Soviet Socialist Republic, Lithuanian SSR. Lithuania is now an independent country. 15. Estonian Soviet Socialist Republic, Estonian SSR. Estonia is now an independent country. These republics were created based on the principle of nationalities, granting certain rights to various ethnic groups within the Soviet Union. The dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 led to the emergence of these republics as independent nations. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, also known as the Nazi-Soviet Pact or the German-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact, was a diplomatic agreement signed between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union on August 23, 1939, just days before the outbreak of World War II. The pact was named after the respective foreign ministers of the two countries, Vyacheslav Molotov of the Soviet Union and Joachim von Ribbentrop of Nazi Germany. Key points about the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact include: non-aggression agreement. The primary feature of the pact was a non-aggression agreement between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. Both countries pledged not to attack or support any attack against each other for the duration of the pact. Secret protocol. A secret protocol appended to the pact outlined the spheres of influence each country would have in Eastern Europe in the event of a territorial and political rearrangement. This included the division of Poland and other Eastern European countries into German and Soviet spheres of influence. Impact on Poland. One of the most significant consequences of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was the division of Poland. On September 1, 1939, Germany invaded Poland from the west, and on September 17, 1939, the Soviet Union invaded from the east. This coordinated attack led to the occupation and division of Poland between the two totalitarian regimes. Outbreak of World War II. The signing of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact played a crucial role in shaping the early stages of World War II. The invasion of Poland marked the beginning of the conflict, as it prompted Britain and France to declare war on Germany on September 3, 1939. Violated ideological hostility. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact was particularly surprising to the international community because Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union were ideologically opposed, with Adolf Hitler's Nazi regime being fascist and the Soviet Union being a communist state. The pact allowed both countries to pursue their expansionist goals without fear of a two-front war. Betrayal of the Baltic states. The secret protocol also paved the way for the Soviet Union to occupy and annex the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, as well as parts of Finland in subsequent years. Operation Barbarossa, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, remained in effect until June 22, 1941, when Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, breaking the non-aggression agreement by invading the Soviet Union. This marked a turning point in the war and led to the Soviet Union becoming part of the Allied forces against Nazi Germany. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact remains a notable example of political expediency and realpolitik, as it allowed two totalitarian regimes to pursue their interests at the expense of smaller nations and contributed significantly to the outbreak and course of World War II. The history of Ukraine is complex, and its emergence as a distinct entity has roots in various historical periods. The territory of present-day Ukraine has been inhabited for thousands of years, with various civilizations and cultures leaving their mark. However, the idea of a unified and independent Ukrainian state has undergone several stages. The medieval state of Kievan Rus, which existed from the late 9th century to the mid-13th century, is often considered a precursor to modern Ukraine. Kievan Rus was a federation of Slavic tribes with its capital in Kiev, and it played a significant role in the development of Eastern Slavic culture and identity. Following the Mongol invasion in the 13th century, the territory of Kievan Rus fell under the control of the Golden Horde. Over time, the region became divided into several principalities and came under the influence of neighboring powers, including Poland and Lithuania. The 17th century saw the emergence of the Cossack Hetmanate, a semi-autonomous state led by the Cossacks, a group of Eastern European warrior peasants. The Hetmanate played a crucial role in the region's history, and the Treaty of Pereyaslav in 1654 marked an important moment in relations between the Cossacks and Russia. The Treaty of Pereyaslav led to a period of closer ties between the Cossack Hetmanate and Russia, but it also laid the groundwork for conflicts with Poland. The subsequent partitions of Poland in the late 18th century resulted in parts of the Ukrainian territory coming under Russian and Austrian control. The modern concept of Ukraine as an independent nation began to take shape during the tumultuous events of the 20th century. Ukraine experienced a series of historical upheavals, including the Ukrainian War of Independence, 1917-1921, following the Russian Revolution. Ukraine briefly gained independence in 1918, but later became part of the Soviet Union. Ukraine declared independence once again in 1991, following the dissolution of the Soviet Union. This declaration of independence on August 24, 1991, marked the establishment of the modern sovereign state of Ukraine. The relationship between Poland and Ukraine has evolved over the years, and it is characterized by a complex mix of historical, cultural, economic, and political ties. The two countries share a long and intricate history, marked by periods of cooperation, conflict, and mutual influence. Here are some key aspects of the Poland-Ukraine relationship. Historical ties. Both Poland and Ukraine have rich historical backgrounds, and their histories have been intertwined for centuries. The territories of present-day Poland and Ukraine were part of the medieval state of Kievan Rus. Over time, they came under the influence of various powers, including the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the Ottoman Empire, and the Russian Empire. Polish-Ukrainian War. After World War I and the collapse of empires, including the Austro-Hungarian and Russian empires, Poland and Ukraine found themselves as independent nations. However, they engaged in conflict during the Polish-Ukrainian War, 1918-1919, over disputed territories, particularly in the western part of Ukraine. Interwar period. In the interwar period, Poland and Ukraine had complex relations, particularly due to issues related to national minorities, border disputes, and the policies of the Polish government toward its Ukrainian population. The policies, including forced assimilation, led to tensions between the two communities. World War II and Soviet influence. World War II brought further complexities. The Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union in 1939 led to the division of Eastern Europe, and parts of both Poland and Ukraine came under Soviet control. The post-war period saw the Sovietization of Ukraine, affecting its political and social structures. Solidarity movement. In the 1980s, the Solidarity movement in Poland, which aimed for workers' rights and political freedoms, inspired similar movements in other Eastern Bloc countries, including Ukraine. This period marked a shared struggle for democratic values. Post-Cold War era, the end of the Cold War and the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 allowed both Poland and Ukraine to embark on paths toward democracy and independence. Poland became a member of the European Union and NATO, while Ukraine gained its independence. Current relations. In recent years, Poland and Ukraine have sought to improve and strengthen their bilateral relations. Both countries share common interests in regional stability, economic cooperation, and European integration. There have been efforts to address historical issues, promote cultural exchange, and enhance economic ties. Despite the historical challenges, Poland and Ukraine recognize the importance of fostering positive relations for the benefit of their citizens and the broader region. The relationship continues to evolve as both countries navigate shared challenges and opportunities in the contemporary geopolitical landscape. The Cold War was a period of geopolitical tension and ideological rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union, which lasted roughly from the end of World War II in 1945 until the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. While the term Cold War generally refers to the broader conflict between the Western Bloc led by the United States and the Eastern Bloc led by the Soviet Union, it also involved other countries aligned with either side. Key points about the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. Russia was a part of the Soviet Union until its dissolution in 1991 include ideological differences. The United States and the Soviet Union represented two contrasting ideologies, capitalism and communism, respectively. This ideological divide fueled many of the conflicts and competitions during the Cold War. Arms race. Both superpowers engaged in a significant arms race, developing and stockpiling nuclear weapons. The fear of mutual destruction through nuclear warfare contributed to a policy of deterrence, where each side sought to prevent the other from initiating a nuclear conflict. Space race. The Cold War extended into space exploration, with the United States and the Soviet Union competing to achieve significant milestones, such as the first human in space, the first successful spacewalk, and the first moon landing. Proxy wars. Rather than engaging in direct military conflict, the superpowers often fought through proxy wars in different parts of the world. Examples include the Korean War, Vietnam War, and conflicts in Afghanistan and Africa. Cuban Missile Crisis. In 1962, the world came close to nuclear war during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when the US discovered Soviet missiles in Cuba. Tensions escalated, but the crisis was eventually resolved through negotiations, with both sides agreeing to remove their missiles from Cuba and Turkey. Détente. In the 1970s, there was a period of improved relations and reduced tensions between the US and the Soviet Union known as détente. Strategic Arms Limitation Talks, SALT, were initiated during this time to control the arms race. Fall of the Berlin Wall and the end of the Cold War. The Cold War effectively ended with the collapse of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the subsequent dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. This marked the victory of Western-style democracy and market capitalism over communism. After the Cold War, Russia emerged as the successor state to the Soviet Union, and relations with the United States have been characterized by various challenges, periods of cooperation, and occasional tensions. The legacy of the Cold War continues to influence global geopolitics to some extent. The dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 was a complex process that involved a series of political, economic, and social factors. The key events leading to the breakup of the Soviet Union include Gorbachev's reforms. In the 1980s, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev introduced a series of political and economic reforms known as perestroika, restructuring, and glasnost, openness. These reforms aimed to modernize the Soviet system and address its economic and political inefficiencies. Economic challenges. Despite Gorbachev's efforts, the Soviet economy continued to face serious challenges, including inefficiency, corruption, and a lack of consumer goods. The attempt to shift from a centrally planned economy to a more market-oriented system encountered significant difficulties. Nationalist movements, the various ethnic groups within the Soviet Union, started expressing their desire for greater autonomy or independence. Nationalist movements gained momentum in several Soviet republics, including the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, Ukraine, Belarus, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia and others. Baltic independence. The Baltic states were among the first to declare their independence. In 1990, they held elections that led to the establishment of independent governments. The Baltic nations faced initial resistance from the Soviet government, but ultimately, the independence movements prevailed. August coup. In August 1991, a group of hardline Communist Party officials opposed to Gorbachev's reforms staged a coup in an attempt to overthrow him. The coup failed due to widespread popular resistance, and it weakened the Central Soviet government. Declaration of independence by republics. In the aftermath of the failed coup, many Soviet republics, including Ukraine and Belarus, declared their independence. The Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, the largest republic within the Soviet Union, also declared its sovereignty. Alma-Ata Declaration. On December 21, 1991, the leaders of Russia, Ukraine and Belarus met in Alma-Ata, now Almaty, Kazakhstan, and signed the Alma-Ata Declaration, formally dissolving the Soviet Union and establishing the Commonwealth of Independent States, CIS. The other republics later joined the CIS. End of the Soviet Union. On December 26, 1991, the Soviet flag was lowered for the last time over the Kremlin in Moscow, marking the official end of the Soviet Union. Gorbachev resigned as the president of the Soviet Union, and the Russian Federation, led by Boris Yeltsin, became its successor state. The dissolution of the Soviet Union was a significant event in world history, leading to the end of the Cold War and the emergence of independent nations in the former Soviet republics. It marked a major shift in global geopolitics and had profound implications for the countries involved.